Today's video is just talking about end of pregnancy preparation. And this is just things that I am doing personally going into home birth number 2 of what am I really leaning into, once I hit that 38-week mark until baby arrives, which could be week 39, week 40, week 41. You really got to be patient. You don't know. So one of my biggest focus is, and it's the hardest one, I think it's very difficult, is intentionally slowing down. I feel like, especially as we come up on that baby date, it can be really easy to get caught up in the hustle and the bustle of, I need to do this. And I talked in one of my previous videos about the importance of trying to really knock out a lot of those things second trimester, or at least beginning of third trimester, because you really want to let your body actually relax when it comes time to, you're preparing for this huge event, not only just delivering baby, but also that newborn phase in that fourth trimester and, postpartum healing. You need to just allow your body that space to process what is coming. You need to sit and rest and just sit in thought of what it's going to be like to, go into labor, to have baby, to meet baby for the first time, to go through those first few weeks of the newborn, stage. And I apologize for being out of breath, but once I pass 38 weeks, I feel like my lungs are all the way up here, and doing, big deep breaths and extended videos just becomes a little bit more challenging than it typically is. It's one thing I really look forward to in postpartum, is having my airspace back and being able to, feel like you can really take that deep breath and say a long sentence without sounding like you just climbed a hill. So that is the most challenging. One thing that I have done is cut out coffee. And, if you are drinking coffee, I highly recommend pulling back on it. I know a lot of people don't do coffee at all during pregnancy. I didn't the first 20 weeks. And then once I hit week 21 through like most of my 30s, I let myself have a cup in the morning, and that was just coffee that I'm making at home. It's not super strong. It's that cup of coffee that I wanted. But even just that one cup, it tends to really motivate me to do 50 things. And I'm trying to allow my mind to be able to relax, allow my mind to be able to rest. And in order to achieve that, I do need to cut that out. That's just me knowing myself. So you need to know your own limitations and your own self of what will help you slow down, what will help you be more intentionally in that rest state. Another thing that I'm focusing on right now is stretching. And I don't just mean for like 5 minutes. I mean, I am intentionally blocking multiple times throughout my day where I'm stretching for a good 30 minutes. And I know that can sound daunting and it can sound time consuming. And most of us, we don't have time for it. We have jobs, we have routines, we have families. So I've kind of modified my schedule around it, honestly. I've started waking up a half an hour earlier, which is honestly pretty easy because as you get close to baby, I know me, I get that excitement. So I'm waking up at like 5 a.m. right now, whereas I was sleeping till 7 almost, like 6:30 or 7 before. And I'm not sleeping like that. I'm finding that like 5:30, I'm like ready for the day, even without coffee. So I'm using that time intentionally to either read birth stories or watch positive birth videos or learn something new about labor, delivery, birth. From a positive standpoint, you're in a very vulnerable phase once you hit end of pregnancy. So positive, happy, encouraging, uplifting, all the things are what you need to be absorbing right now. That's what I tried to put in my mind. but also I'm using that time for stretching. And I'm doing not only hip stretches. I feel like people, myself included, really only focus on the hips, because we're thinking about the birth canal and we're thinking about a baby transitioning through them. But you also need to stretch the rest of your body. You really want your full body to be more relaxed, your full body to be more loose and limber and lengthened. So I'm being very intentional with leg stretches. Those are also helping to avoid leg cramps in the middle of the night. If you've never had a leg cramp in the middle of the night while you were pregnant, then you are very fortunate. I had 2 with my first pregnancy, and I am trying everything under the sun to avoid them this pregnancy, including stretching, doing electrolytes like it's my job, drinking herbal teas, the same ones that I talked about previously. Right now I'm really focusing on nettles, red raspberry leaf, and alfalfa, and occasionally dandelion root as well. Always talk to your provider, talk to your midwife, talk to whoever you're working with, anytime you're incorporating herbs, even teas. But I've been upfront with her from the beginning of what I'm doing, how much I'm doing, all the things. So those are all the things I'm doing to work on watching out for leg cramps. So like I said, I'm intentionally stretching way more than I normally would be. My goal is to have my body loose, limber, and feeling good. Doing a lot of Epsom salt baths. If you don't get the opportunity to take a lot of Epsom salt baths, which sometimes I don't, a lot of times I don't, I also do topical magnesium. You can buy it in lotions, you can buy it in oils. Again, talk to your provider, show them what you're using, make sure they're on board with it. But the topical magnesium is super helpful because I have a toddler, I have a family, I'm trying to coordinate all the things. So taking an hour-long bath, it's not happening super frequently. So the topical magnesium helps a lot. One new thing I'm trying this time that I didn't do with my first home birth is I am studying the Bradley method. And I'm doing this because with my first labor, I found that it was very challenging to get, I have a hiccup. With my first labor, I found it to be really challenging to keep my body relaxed during contractions. And that is arguably the most important thing that you need to do once labor actually kicks in, is you don't want to fight it. You don't want to tense up. You don't want your body to be tight. You don't want your jaw to be clenched. You don't want your body to be clenched. You don't want your whole body just tense and bracing for these. Instead, the goal is to fully relax your body, which has been the theme of this entire thing. If you haven't caught on, relaxation for these final weeks. But you're fully relaxing your body, every single different aspect of it, from head to toe. If you've ever done yoga nidra, it's similar concept, but this one is just birth related. So the Bradley method has you lay in a very specific position that has your body not tense, not stretched out, not uncomfortable. And then while you're in that position, you essentially put yourself into a meditative state of relaxing intentionally each individual part of your body. And the goal is that you maintain that through contractions. You don't want to let that contraction take you out of that concentration state and to pull you into tense and no longer relaxed. So that is the goal. And in order for that to work well, you have to practice. So I am using those extra time blocks that I'm kind of carving out right now to not only stretch, but also practice the Bradley method. And I will let you guys know, my goal is that by doing the practice and by putting in the repetition, that I will be able to maintain that relaxed state this time that I wasn't able to with birth number 1. And I've heard that when you are able to maintain that relaxation state, it can dramatically impact what your birth feels like, it just has some really great outcomes. So we're gonna see how it goes. The one thing about that is, because of the position that you want to lay in, I said it's very specific and you're really falling into that deep state of relaxation. It doesn't pair up with using the birth pool, which is what I did with home birth number 1. So part of me is leaning towards maybe not using the birth pool for this birth. I still have all the supplies, I have all the things, and we'll have it here and available so that if I change my mind or if I'm struggling, I can totally still get in the pool. But as of right now, I'm kind of leaning towards potentially seeing if I can maintain the Bradley method and potentially labor on the bed instead. So we're going to find out. Those are my biggest focuses. Another one is getting really good sleep. So at night, I put my toddler to bed, and then once she falls asleep, I'm doing another round of 30 minutes of stretching, working on my mindset, practicing the position for the Bradley method, and just going through that full circuit. And it helps calm me down, helps get me in that rest state so that I'm kind of falling to bed pretty easily. So I'm going to bed early, and then I'm probably asleep by 9 or 9:30 pretty much every night. And then, like I said, right now, just in those final weeks, you get a little bit more built up anticipation, and I'm finding that I'm waking up a good hour earlier than I usually do. But even waking up at 5 or 5:30, I'm still getting 8.5 hours of sleep. Interrupted still because you get up to pee 3 times at this point in pregnancy. But I'm able to fall back asleep, fall into that deep sleep, get good REM, and that was my biggest goal. One of my biggest struggles with home birth number 1 is that I went 2 days without sleep just because of the way that my contractions played out and the way that my birth played out. A really big goal for this second birth is to nap if I get the opportunity. If I go through a few hours where contractions completely subside or go away, I need to use that time intentionally to sleep. And that's the other thing about cutting out the caffeine, so that if that happens, I'm not all jazzed up on coffee, and I hopefully, even in the middle of the day, can convince myself to take a nap if needed. I do think this second birth is going to be substantially quicker than birth number 1, but again, that's just my, hypothesis. Everything, plays out the way that it plays out. But I still want to try to lean into napping if the possibility arises. So intentionally slowing down, stretching, practicing Bradley method, getting good sleep, staying super hydrated, doing the electrolytes, having those all prepped and ready for birth as well. You want really great, hydration throughout the whole thing. It's huge, huge, huge. And then the only other thing that I'm really focusing on, 2 other things. One would be I'm still doing some food prep, and I'm not stressing about it at all. I'm not I have to do A, B, and C. It's just when meals arise and I'm feeling motivated and really feeling the mood for it, I am over cooking so that I'm cooking dinner for us for that day, but I also have lots to freeze as well. Tomorrow, we're having, a fall baby, an October baby. So tomorrow I'm in the mood to, I'm going to cook with a whole pumpkin. My plan is to make a video about it, of how I'm using that for some postpartum meals, but I'm essentially going to use a big part of it to make a pumpkin chili, and then another big part of it to make an autumn squash soup, both of which I'm super excited about. It's very fallish vibes. They both freeze really well, and using a whole pumpkin, they're going to make a lot. So it's perfect for postpartum prep, and neither one of them are super difficult to make. So those are all things that fall on my my hit list of things that I'm trying to do at this moment. So a little bit of postpartum food prep still. I have some meals already frozen, but I'm still trying to go through the works of seeing what else I can come up with and freeze before baby decides to arrive. And then my last thing that I'm focusing on is finding mental activities for myself for postpartum. The biggest struggle with postpartum is that you want to stay essentially in bed for 2 weeks. And that is so difficult for me. I'm the type that wants to constantly be doing things, even if it's just little things. So in order to keep myself in that rest state, to keep myself, you have to do it because you need your body needs to heal. Your body needs to rest. So for me, it's a mental battle. So in order to combat that, I am preparing things that will mentally keep me occupied. This pregnancy, I'm going to have a toddler running around. So I'm going to have an extra hand on deck to hopefully keep her occupied. And, I'll have my husband, but then we're also going to have either my mom or his mom, someone to just, wear her out a little bit. I'm sure she'll wear them out more than they wear her out. But the goal is that I'm able to stay stationary with baby. I'm also prepping like some business tasks that I can work on, something just to work on my mind, keep my mind going. I'm just getting those prepared and ready, and it's only if I want to do them. These aren't things that have to be done. This is just something I can mentally concentrate on and stay in bed. If I'm not feeling business productive, I'm also finding entertainment ways to keep myself in the bed. Right now, for the life of me, I can't find any show or movie that seems appealing. So I restarted one of my video games. For me, that's just something that can usually entertain me for a good while. And I haven't played video games the way that I usually do in over a year, between pregnancy and mom life and wife life, life in general. You really pull back on your time spent doing those things. So I'm going to allow myself to actually immerse into it again. And that's just something that works for me. I highly recommend finding something that works for you, that will help keep you mentally occupied for, at least 1 week, ideally 2. That could be, you could do coloring books, you could do binging a show, find an 8-season show that you start from the beginning, or rewatch, or, find whatever it is that can kind of help you rest and give yourself permission to rest. That it's okay if your laundry gets backed up. It's okay if your dishes get backed up. It's okay if your house isn't spotless. My house isn't spotless ever, anytime anyways. But just give yourself permission to let things, build up and come up. And most people, have people come over that will help, at least somewhat, whether that be your spouse or a friend or a family member who can kind of help you keep up with those things so that they don't build up. But if you don't have anyone, try and just give yourself some grace that it's okay, if the laundry becomes a massive pile. But those are the things that I am focusing the most on as of right now. And I'm really just leaning into that headspace of, being grateful that we got here and being thankful for the opportunity. And I know it sounds cheesy, but you really have to spend some time just being excited. And I know it can be uncomfortable being at this point in pregnancy. If you are super uncomfortable, you should see a chiropractor that works with pregnant women. Hint, hint. But because I'm actually very comfortable right now. I'm just out of breath. But lean into it. You're even in this uncomfortable stage where none of your clothes fit and nothing feels right. This is like some of the last few days that baby's going to be in your belly. And I highly recommend taking belly photos, you know, the mirror pics, the cheesy ones, because today could be your last day. You know what I mean? We think we know, but, and you know, you're going to want these memories and you're going to want these moments. And even though we're in a hurry to meet baby, you know, you want baby to be here now and not 2-3 weeks still. But I'm very much just mentally putting myself on baby's time, that baby's going to come when baby's ready, and I'm just going to be ready in the meantime. I hope this video was helpful. It's just things that I'm focused on at the end of pregnancy, and it's really honestly self-care. So I hope that, you know, wherever you are in your phase of life, that you give yourself the space to have it, and that you have the opportunity to even have that self-care at the end of pregnancy. I know not everybody does, but if you do, try and lean into it, try and slow down, try and be intentional, and just stay positive, because really cool things are coming your way.